Today is the day, Drewskies. Andrew here for the Power of Drew, and what's up, Andrew? Dude, I'm shooting a video for YouTube, man. I'm trying to get out this GH5S Firmware update release. Oh, Mr. Big Shot, Mr. 101 subscribers. Nobody cares about your stupid intro. Just shoot the thing. By the way, you out of chips. All right, well, you heard the guy. Let's roll it. All right, guys, we're in my kitchen. This is too hot. Hang on. All right. All right, guys, we're in my kitchen right now, and I'm really excited about doing this GH5S autofocus test with the new 2.0 firmware. And one of the very first videos that I did for YouTube was actually a GH5 autofocus test using the latest firmware. And during that test, I focused on the Sigma 18 to 35 speed boosted and the Panasonic 12 to 35. So actually, it's gonna be really embarrassing, but I'll like put it up in a card right there if you guys want to see it. I don't recommend you guys do it. It's one of my very first ones, but anyways, yeah, so I figured what we would do is run through continuous autofocus and then single point with the new face and body tracking continuous autofocus using the same Sigma to 18 to 35 speed boosted that I used before, and then the Panasonic 12 to 35 as like the native lens test. And then what we'll do is also use an Olympus lens, since that's a micro 4/3 lens, but not necessarily native because it's not Panasonic. So we got 6 rounds to go through here, right? Continuous autofocus and single point continuous autofocus in each lens, and punishing this thing right off the go with the speed boosted Sigma 18 to 35. Let's cue that music and let's do that test. All right, that was interesting. If you guys painfully want to watch that other episode, I'm not telling you guys to do so, then you'll notice that Sigma 1835 speed boosted on the previous firmware just definitely has some weird behaviors that like pop into focus really odd. And I'm kind of seeing it here, but man, this is a noticeable improvement over the previous firmware, and we're just starting off with this Sigma 18 to 35 speed boosted, so I'm really excited to see how this 12 to 35 goes. Let's switch this over into the single point face to body tracking, see if there's any improvements there. Generally, there are improvements when you just go down to a single point, and that's how a lot of people are using their GH5 and GH5S cameras autofocus to really get the most out of it. So let's do it. All right, guys, we're in single point continuous autofocus with the newly added face and body tracking in this mode. And so I have that point set like right here. It looks like it got onto me right now. And it kind of did a little pop right there. It's not as abrasive though, right? So, I mean, before it'd be like, boom. This I could actually see maybe using as a talking head or just talking into the camera like this. Like if you were to lean back and go forward, it might have you a little bit better. And excuse me, guys, I'm going to be looking at my monitor a lot in this episode, but super, super interesting. And actually, while we're here, I don't think this is going to work, by the way, but I want to do a couple product raising shots while in this mode. Now, since I'm in that face and body tracking, I don't know if it's going to just latch on to me and not care about whatever I put up in front. But let's see here. Here we go. Here we go. I think it's about right here. And I don't think it's going to... I'd be surprised if it did. I mean, I guess technically you don't want it to, right? Because we're in the face and body tracking. But I bet it would if we throw on this lens. It's just because we're using the speed boosted. All right. Well, the raising product shots failed. However, I would say there is an improvement using the speed boosted 18 to 35 on the new 2.0 firmware. Let's throw on that 12 to 35 I just held up and see how well it does. All right, guys, we're in the 12 to 35 right now, and I had to bump up the ISO to about 1600. Using the speed boosted Sigma, the camera acknowledges the f-stop when you make it as fast as you can go, and it triggers at about 1.2. And that's what it's saying. I don't know if it's exactly 1.2, but that's what the camera is showing. Here, since this lens it only goes as fast as 2.8, that's as fast as I can get this thing. So again, had to bump up the ISO a little bit. But let's see how fast this is tracking me. Again, I switched back into continuous autofocus. So let's do the whole music thing and let's see how it goes. That is pretty good. I can actually probably sit there and vlog with that. That is not too bad. While we're doing these tests, one of the reasons why I wanted to do it in this kitchen, A, I could control the lights, and B, because of the neons, you could be able to see this is kind of weird. You could see the pulsing and see how bad that's going. One of the big improvements is that we're supposed to be seeing less pulsing. So you'll probably see it go haywire as we go back and forth. But hopefully if it's latched on to you that you're not seeing the pulsing as much, right? I have noticed though, when I'm out vlogging and stuff and I'm using a Panasonic camera, I don't really notice the pulsing so much. So I don't want you guys to get really just hung up on the pulsing, right? Every YouTuber just knocks Panasonic for the pulsing, and A, I don't use autofocus that much, but B, when I do, I really don't see it really go haywire that much. And you can actually tone down the autofocus to be less sensitive. That really helps out with those sort of things. But anyways, I think it's doing really, really good here. Let's see one more time. Let's just back up. I like to do these slow walk-ups to see if it sits here and can track your entire time, because really, guys, I mean, you aren't popping out of frame and popping into it. I mean, those aren't really, I guess, accurate tests that we're doing with these things. They're just kind of fun to dance around, I guess. But yeah, I think this is a huge improvement. Not just a little step, but this is a leap. This is a nice. Anyways, let's switch it over to the single point continuous autofocusing mode with the face and body tracking now enabled and see how we do there. All right, guys, same thing with the last test, right? I have that little box set about right here, and normally this is probably the best results you're gonna get from the autofocusing engine of the GH5S, and likewise the GH5, right? If it just has to worry about this little point on the screen, sometimes I guess that just helps it out a lot. On top of that, now that it's recognizing face and bodies, I guess that's really nice. I can see in the monitor over here that it's actually drawing a box and doing its thing. It even has the lines that you get for the eye tracking. But interesting. Let's do a raising product shot while we're on this lens real quick. Got it again. Got it again. All right. So it looks like with the Sigma 18 to 35, it wasn't just latching onto it when I raised that product up. Not because it was only recognizing face and bodies, but just because it's just doesn't handle very well with a speed boosted lens. This though, I really want to say is doable, you know, like, what about an extreme close up? All right, let's wrap this video up. Let's throw on the Olympus and see if there's any improvements, or the opposite of improvements, not improvements. You know what I mean? Hang on. All right, guys, we got the 12 millimeter f2.0 by Olympus. Now, the same thing with the other two lenses, right? Since this f-stop is coming in different than the other two, I had to take the ISO and actually lower it this time to 1000. So the Sigma was 400, the 12 to 35 was 1600, and now the Olympus 2.0 is 1000. And it looks like it's doing a pretty good job here. Let me cue the music and let me do my little turn on the catwalk, and let's do it. So that doesn't look too bad, you know. I don't see it like going haywire somewhere and catching on to like this plant over here or something, but it seems to have me. Now, historically, Panasonic bodies has always done the best with Panasonic lenses, right? That's probably not any news to you guys. However, Olympus glass on Panasonic bodies was always, I wouldn't say hit and miss, but the deviation of the autofocus capabilities, I always believed was really small, right? And I think that's what we're seeing here. I can't tell you if it's better than the 12 to 35 or worse than the 12 to 35. I would be hard pressed to think it's better. But it's definitely, all of it across the board is better than the previous firmware. And I think, and this is not just being a Panasonic fanboy, I think it's night and day. All right, let's pop this into the single point continuous autofocus mode, and then let's wrap this up. All right, guys, we're in the single point continuous autofocusing mode. Just like the other two tests, I imagine this is going to do way better than all the points enabled. What's really cool, though, like I've said, is this face and body tracking that they've added to this mode. And it looks good. Let's see if I get all the way back here. Hang on. All right. All right, guys. That was super interesting. I'm really excited to see the direction of where Panasonic is going with their autofocus algorithm. You know, it's never going to be phase detect, right? But I'm excited to see them work so hard to get their contrast-based autofocusing good enough. And Panasonic cameras has always been more about the video quality, right? Just pushing out the best image they can out of their cameras. And although they don't spend a lot of time on the autofocusing, I think a lot of people that shoot with Panasonic might not even really use the autofocusing as much. It's always just kind of a there if you need it type of thing. And so I'm glad to see this not just be incremental improvement, but an improvement that is leaps and bounds better over the previous firmware. Man, I would have got this video out sooner, guys. I've been interviewing a lot. I just got this new job, so I'm super stoked about that. I start on Monday, and then I also have to go DJ, quote unquote, my brother's wedding. So I had to get all ready for that. Test all the equipment, do everything one does when they're, gonna take part in a wedding. But thanks for subscribing and liking and all that jazz, guys. I love you, man. You guys are cool. And I guess that's it. Thanks a lot. And I will be seeing you guys in the next one. Hopefully like later this week. I want to push out 1 or 2 more this week. So stay tuned. Other than that, peace.